I am not surprised to hear this news. I'm sure you are not either, Rakib. But it does at least explain why there has been so much chaos from this department that is managing some of the most important issues to the people across this country. Immigration, both legal and illegal, and of course this national grooming gang inquiry. Rakib, what can we learn from this report?
Well, firstly, I totally agree with you, Alex. I don't think these findings are remotely surprising, but they are incredibly worrying. And I think what's really interesting here, we had this report, which was commissioned by the Home Secretary at the time, Suella Braverman, the last Conservative government, and the report was authored by Nick Timothy, who is now a Conservative MP. And it seems like the findings, they've been accepted by the current Labour Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. So we have this, very importantly, we have this cross-party support, or rather cross-party consensus, which is very much of the view that the Home Office is not fit for purpose. And that is remarkably worrying because the Home Office is responsible for border security, public safety, sensitive matters of policing. But if you look into the report, there's some very interesting findings there, where you have Home Office civil servants taking time out, for example, holding listening circles where they talk about their feelings on a variety of social and political issues, which I wouldn't consider to be a particularly good use of the public money, who is ultimately there to fund their salaries. And I think that when you look at the kind of work that we've done at Policy Exchange, especially when it comes to non-crime hate incidents and stop and search, you have to be concerned over the degree to which racial and religious identity politics and sort of cultural sensitivities, they've ultimately feed into this culture of paralysis within the Home Office, and that needs to change.
Yeah, because of course many people would point to the fact that civil servants are meant to be politically neutral, but then we can point to a lot of the policies like the Rwanda bill, which of course multiple Tory MPs says were being frustrated by the Home Office, Brexit among other things. Have we got a problem where the civil service is meant to be this politically neutral body but actually is deeply political, and many people would argue that it's infiltrated by quite far left ideologues across the board?
Well, we have to see that when you look at Home Office staff networks and also the connections that the Home Office has with a variety of activist groups who, in my view, certainly, in my opinion, they have very liberal views on matters of immigration and asylum, and also, in some cases, also quite liberal views on matters of counter-extremism as well. I think that it's very clear that the Home Office is not fit for purpose. And I think that there's very serious concerns in terms of the organisational culture. Now, of course, civil servants, they have a right to provide ministers and indeed the government overall advice. There's no harm in that. But ultimately, they're ultimately there to execute the government agenda. And I think that at the moment, I think that there's a real, maybe perhaps there's a degree of confusion among civil servants in terms of what their responsibilities and duties actually are. But I think that it's very important that the Home Secretary, the current Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, makes it very clear to civil servants in the Home Office in terms of what her expectations are.